In these modules, we are going to discuss the properties of continuous time Fourier transform. To be clear, I have written down the definitions of inverse Fourier transform and the Fourier transform. Also the notations, small letters, for example, xt, small xt and small yt, they will represent the time domain signals, and capital letters, capital X and capital Y, they will represent their transforms. And xt and capital Xj omega written together, they will indicate uh, a Fourier transform pair. And similarly for yt and capital Yj omega, they form a Fourier transform pair. Sometimes we will also use a more elaborate notation where capital capital F of xt will be read as the Fourier transform of the time domain signal xt, which is equal to capital Xj omega. And similarly, F inverse capital Xj omega will be read as the inverse Fourier transform of capital Xj omega, which is xt. Uh, we discuss the properties because they provide us a lot of useful insights into the time and frequency domain representations of the signals, and knowing these properties also help us in evaluating the Fourier and inverse Fourier transforms. The first property that we discuss is the linearity, and linearity is the simplest and most often invoked property of the Fourier transform. This property says that the Fourier transform of A times xt plus B times yt is equal to A times Fourier transform of xt plus B times the Fourier transform of yt, where A and B can be any numbers, real or complex. Uh, Linearity can be easily checked from the properties of integrals. Moreover, we can also extend this property to a linear combination of an arbitrary number of signals. The second property that we discuss is the time shifting. When we shift the signal in time, the impact on the Fourier transform is simple. There is no change in the magnitude. The only change we see is in the phase, and the additional phase is also a linear function of omega. We are not going to do a proof of this property because it is easy. We can either do it using the Fourier transform formula or the inverse Fourier transform formula. The only trick that is required is just a change of variable. In the book, this property is proved using the inverse Fourier transform formula, and I encourage you to do the same using the Fourier transform formula. The third property that we discussed is time and frequency scaling property, and this property tells us how does the Fourier transform change if we scale, for example, stretch or shrink the variable in the frequency or the time domain. And the Fourier transform of x at is equal to 1 over absolute value of a capital X j omega over a, where a is a non-zero real number. Once again, we are not going to do the proof, and we can easily prove this property by making a substitution. For example, tau equal to at in the Fourier transform equation. You should be careful when doing this proof because if the value of a is less than 0, the limits of integration are reversed when we make the substitution. And since minus a is positive when a is negative, therefore we are able to write 1 over absolute value of a for any non-zero real number a. We discussed the stretching and shrinking or compressing of the signals in module 24. Over there, the rect and sync pulses we were considering, and we saw what happens to the signal when we either increase the width of the rect pulse or decrease its width. So it was actually the time and frequency scaling property that was at work over there. And to sum it up, a signal stretched out in time domain is squeezed in the frequency domain and vice versa. Therefore, it is not possible to localize a signal or concentrate it in both time and the frequency domains. As a consequence of time and frequency scaling, we can also know what happens or what is the Fourier transform of a time reverse signal just by putting a is equal to -1 in this property, and we can see that reversing a signal in time also reverses its Fourier transform. We can combine scaling and shifting as well, and if we do that, here is how the Fourier transform of scaled and shifted signal will look like. Let us quickly do one example. Here, a rectangular pulse is given. The total width of the rectangular pulse is 1, and its Fourier transform capital Xa omega is a sinc function, sinc omega over 2 pi. And we are interested in finding the Fourier transform of Yt, which is a scaled and shifted rectangular pulse. We can very easily solve this problem simply by finding first the values of A and B, and here the value of A is 1 over 2 and the value of B is 3 over 2 with a negative sign. Then we plug A and B in this formula, and straight away we find the Fourier transform of Yg omega, which turns out to be 2 times E minus J3 omega sinc omega over pi. One last thing, we can directly find the Fourier transform of Yt using the Fourier transform equation. And I encourage you to do that and verify this result.